Welcome to my vlog, and this is altitude, a continuation of going through the course to get my UAS commercial pilot license. And this is lesson 2.3, airport operations and traffic patterns. The definition of definition for airports refers to any area of land or water used or intended for landing or takeoff of an aircraft. The UAS pilot should be familiar with the basics of aircraft operations in and around airports, of course, for safety and situation awareness, particularly when manned aircraft and UASs are operating within close proximity of each other concurrently. Now remember, if you're flying in A through E area, you're always going to have to get permission from the control tower to fly. And that goes for unmanned control towers of airports, because you're going to have some out there maybe in the E area. If you're in a G area, you don't have to worry about contacting the control tower with this. You have towered and non-towered airports. Towered airport has an operating control tower. Air traffic control, ATC, is responsible for providing a safe, orderly, and expeditious flow of air traffic at airports where the type of operations and or volume of traffic requires such service. You need ATC authorization to operate within the airspace boundaries of a towered airport. A non-towered airport does not have an operating control tower. Two-way radio communications are not required, although it is a good operating practice for pilots to monitor other aircraft on the specific frequency of the benefit of other traffic in the area. There's your example of the top one is a towered and the bottom one is an untowered. Those are G airspace airports. If you are in A through an E control tower airspace or airport, regardless of whether it's towered or untowered, you need to have ATC authorization to fly your drone in that area. If you're in G, again, you don't have to worry about it, but you do need to be looking in the air, and it is a good idea to monitor. I'm not sure exactly how we'll monitor, but the fact is that you should know, have an idea what's going on, because usually your landings and when they're flying around an airport is about 1,000 feet, 1,000 GL, AGL, between 7 and 1,000 feet flying around the airport. So we need to keep that in mind, even though we're only supposed to be flying 400 feet max height, and depending on what. Ooh, Charlie horse. Depending on what the terrain is, again, 400 feet above whatever obstacle you have, and within 400 feet of it. So, but main thing is to remember around those airports, they're flying at about 1,000 feet, getting ready to land. So, anyway, we'll keep going on with that. Runways, the runway orientation, runway numbers are determined by their heading, and it's usually the compass headings. And runways are numbered in the direction that you'll land. They are oriented in the same way you read a compass. So your runways 9/27 is facing magnetic heading 90 in one direction, and 270 in the opposite direction. So basically east and west. Runways 36 and 18 are facing approximately heading 360 and one direction, and 180 in the opposite direction. So we have north and south, and 180 south, 360 north. And then you have 5 and 23 facing approximately a heading of 50 degrees in one direction and 230 in the other direction. So we're talking northeast and southwest. So that's basically the way they set up the runways. So a quick view as to how they're doing it. Going east and west, you're coming in 90, you're coming in east. If you're going west, you're going in 270, according to just like your compass is. Going north and south. So if you're coming in, if you're landing, coming in north, you're coming in 360. If you're going in south, you're coming in 180. And then of course over here, you're going north, east, or southwest in these directions. So if you're coming in 05, you're coming in northeast. If you're landing coming from northeast, you're going south and you're going west. Just think of the compass. 360 degrees, 180, 90, and 270. Now with traffic patterns, usually your standard is left traffic. You're going around to the left of the airport. You're sitting in the left seat when you're flying an airplane. So if you're in the left seat, you're able to see out the left window at the airport as you're going around. If you're going around right, it's over there. You got a seat here. You can barely, you can't see the airport over the thing unless you go ahead and kick it to the right and kick the wing down, and then yacht, so then you can see down. But your standard flight pattern is to the left because you can see out the left window easily. But it doesn't mean you can't go around to the right, okay? But your normal pattern is, your standard pattern is usually to the left, and you're about 1,000 AGL in altitude. And again, those can be considered either left traffic or right traffic. And there's an example of your runway 230 and 05, which means they're both coming around. They're all going to come in runway 05, so they're going to land north, heading northeast as they land. Now the next thing to discuss is in your traffic pattern are broken down into segments. The segments given other aircraft situational awareness of the aircraft positions in relation to the airport and the runway. So when they're talking on the radio, by them giving these segments, the pilots know exactly where the other aircraft is in as far as position to the airport itself, so they can maneuver around. So usually when they're taking off, they're going to be in departure mode or going into upwind. Usually airplanes take off according to the wind. They want the wind coming at them so they have better lift. When you're landing, on the other hand, you can be landing into the wind. It gives you better landing as well. But they just consider that your final in landing or approach. You have your departure again, which is your takeoff, and usually that's or upwind, whichever way they want to say it. Once they've taken off, they're most likely going to go to the left, and then come back around, or they're going to come around, and then they're going to go. And what happens is you're always making 90-degree turns. So when you make your first 90-degree turn, you're actually going into crosswind, because you upwind, crosswind. And then they're going to make another 90-degree. Now they're going to go into downwind, and then they're going to go along. And then if they're going to go ahead and come around and land again, they're going to make another 90-degree from your down into what's called the base. So as you're coming around your base, now you're going to make another 90-degree, especially if you're going to land again. You're going to do a touch and go, touch, up, back around, around. Once you've gone from your base at the other end of the runway, now you're going into final as you're going to land. So those are your 4-5 positions of being around the airport. So your departure, or going upwind. Next will be your crosswind, then your downwind, then your base, and then final. And there's your example of your traffic patterns or segments around the runway. So when you're talking on the radio, the pilots have an idea of where you are. All right, and the final segment on the airport operations is your standard communications and self-announcements. Understanding the radio phraseology and procedures will help UAS pilot operation safety in the vicinity of an airport and provide additional situational awareness. At airports without a control tower, pilots communicate their intentions and obtain aircraft traffic information in one of 3 ways. Either they communicate with a flight service station, an FSS, a Unicom operator, or by making a self-announced broadcast, which means you're going to tell them where you're at. You're either taking off, you're now at crosswind, or you're at downwind, or you're at base, or you're at final. Okay. Now, and again, usually they're flying at 1,000 feet around the runway until they do they're on final approach, and they'll drop down. You want to make sure that you understand where they're at, because they can be flying right over your head or coming right at you. So very, very important that you understand your segments of the airport, because you got if you know where they are, then you'll have no problem in diverting yourself from having a collision with a manned aircraft. Not a good thing. So anyway, that takes care of the airport operations and traffic patterns. I'm not a certified instructor or anything. This is just helping me put it in my head, and I'm sharing it with you. Going through the federal drone registration.teachable.com lesson. So I highly recommend that you check this company out, and continue to follow it, what you'll need to know, and do a pre-lesson if you decide to do this yourself. So thanks for watching. The next one's going to be the actual section quiz for this one here. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, and definitely subscribe. And I'll catch you on the next altitude.